welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome. I feel like my brain is like just turning on when I hit record. So it's like takes me that whole sentence to be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Because my days are kind of quiet and slow, and I tend to get very energetic. At least I feel like there's so much spinning around in my head and stuff when I start a podcast. So it takes me that first couple sentences to get the brain moving, get my blood pumping. So today is day 11 for the plank challenge, and we are back to the same time frame for both tracks. So if you're on the 3-minute track, meaning you want to finish the month being able to do a 3-minute plank, then you'll do 60 seconds today for your plank. And if you're on the 5-minute track, you will also do 60 seconds. Hopefully I said seconds before. 60 seconds for your plank today. And today's topic is about the why me question. The hole that we can dig ourselves in when we are asking this question rather than looking at the solution. So things like, for me, why was I the one in the family who became an alcoholic? Why was I the lucky winner? Why was I the one who had the stroke? I don't know. I was going to say, out of all the people who had the COVID vaccine, and you hear that that's what was happening. Now, granted, I have yet to have a doctor say, yes, that was the cause of your stroke. Nobody will say that. It's just really coincidental that I had a clot in my arm after the first vaccine and I had a stroke after the second vaccine. So that's just coincidental. Nobody's actually going to say that that's what caused my stroke. Anywho, things like questions like these, why am I the one facing these challenges, that kind of thing, whether it's battling alcoholism or overcoming the aftermath of a stroke, it's easy to feel like you're singled out by fate. But what if we shift our perspective from asking why me to why was I given another chance? Instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Maybe we can think about, why am I still here? Why did this happen to me and I'm still here? And I mean that in a positive way. There's lots of people who are alcoholics and they don't make it. I think it's more than not are people who don't make it. There's lots of people who have a stroke and don't make it. So my question is, why was I given another chance? Not once, but twice already. And if I really think about it, there are lots of times in my life that I could have been killed. And I've given a couple examples of those in my college career. But why was I spared and other people weren't? So I want to talk about that mindset shift and how we can practice it and discover how our trials can become our greatest teachers. So the why me dilemma. I've asked myself many times over the past 7 years, 7.5 years. I like to give myself that half a year. Why am I the alcoholic in the family? And why did I have to endure a stroke? It's it's natural, I think, to think this way when we're handed something that seems unfair. But the first and foremost, what comes to my mind immediately when I think that is that I would have rather it been me than anybody else in my family. So I'm kind of feeling in a way that I'm glad that I'm the one who took one for the team, you know? I mean, that's not how it works. I get that. But I'm just happy that I'm the one who's fighting. I'm the one who's going through the challenges and the pain. If anybody in my family, I would rather pick me to have chronic daily pain than anybody. So I'm happy it's me, you know? Again, I know it doesn't work like that, but it's something that helps me deal with the why me thing. So dwelling on these why me questions, focusing on life's limitations, I've talked about this, or using them as excuses for why things suck. All of this stuff, it just prolongs recovery. All it does is throw hurdles in front of your path that you have to jump over. It keeps us locked in a cycle of despair, um, overlooking what could be, if you look at it from the right mindset, gifts that are actually hidden within, inside the suck, if you will, that provide growth and enable my joy to come to the surface. So the real transformation that showed me my purpose began for me when I did change that mindset, when I answered my own why me question with actually, why was I given another chance? And that was really clear to me. The more people in sobriety that I lost, you know, some people I didn't even know very well, but there's other people that, the guy that sat next to me those 10 weeks in IOP, he died. He died later, not much long after. He drank again and he ended up dying. And I was friends with him. He was my favorite person in the class and he died. So why was I spared? Why did I get it? Why did it stick with me and not with him? And then, of course, the stroke thing. Why is it just my eyes? Why is it that I can walk and I can use my arms? I'm not, um, you know, in a position where I can't use the left side of my body or something like that. When I shift my mindset like that, I feel lucky instead of a victim. And through my recovery from alcoholism and navigating all of these challenges, my vision impairment, my chronic pain, um, I I've discovered that my answer to the why me um, is not only why not me, but my answer is that it's because there's a strength in me and a resilience that I wasn't fully aware of. It's that if I look to my higher power, actually, it's that um, he knew that I could do it, that I could overcome it. I think there's something that people say in sobriety about, I think it's outside of sobriety too. You're never going to be given more than what you can handle. Um, I have my own deep thoughts about that, and I don't want to go into that because I could talk about it for an hour. And it goes in the direction of not necessarily a direction of faith, but more of a direction of what strength you can find in yourself, depending on what is presented in front of you, kind of thing. But but I I feel like, in the same way as I said, I'm glad it was me and not the rest of my family. Um, it's it's a strength that I wouldn't be able to find if I didn't go through this stuff. Um, it it can be harnessed to not only overcome the obstacles that have been put in front of me, the hurdles that I have to jump or knock down or whatever I'm doing with those hurdles, but to also, and I think this is the most important part, use the experiences to help others and to guide my kids. That's a big one for me, to be an example of, if nothing else, what not giving up looks like. And I mentioned in a podcast maybe a week ago that my daughter has this jar of 49 reasons why I love you that she gave me for my 49th birthday. And the one that I opened recently said, because you never give up. And I kept that one. And that's what I want. I want to be an example to my kids and to anybody else who's watching. I want to show people what it looks like to not give up no matter what. And when I turn the corner eventually and end up wherever it is that I'm going, or I end up in a better place than I was yesterday, I can say, yay me. I did that. I can look back and go, I jumped over that hurdle. Like, let's go. Bring it on. Let's jump over the next one. So another angle on this is I was comparing sobriety with my stroke recovery, and how when I first got sober, one of the big challenges for me, accomplishments, were embarking on all of those firsts in sobriety, doing things sober for the first time, whether it's going to a wedding or, whatever, going to the store. Like, I did everything drunk. So going through the motion of living my life and doing all of these things for the first time sober was proof to me that I could do it again. If I do it once, I can do it again. So all I had to do when I was looking at it from this perspective is, all I have to do is get through it once. Because once I get through it once, I know I can do it infinite amounts of time. And so I was thinking, all right, how can I shift this to apply to my stroke recovery? And what I was thinking of today, bear with me while I see if I can articulate it, is that both recoveries, sobriety and stroke recovery, require an inner shift. Because it feels like there's a big world outside of me, but it's all based on how I view that big, gigantic world is all based on what's going on in the big, gigantic world inside of my head. And I'm not sure which one's bigger, honestly. And it requires a shift inside to from seeking external solutions to my problems to looking inward for strength and peace. And sobriety taught me how to live with resilience on like reliance, I should say, on what I've got inside of me that is only accessible when my mind is clear, when I'm sober. Um, when I'm sober, there's all kinds of abilities and intelligence and all kinds of stuff that I didn't know was in there, that I can access. And in stroke recovery, it's taught me that, again, I have this vision impairment. And it's really an odd one. And I'll tell you about a conversation I had earlier today with somebody who uh, has an issue. She's going blind. And I was talking about vision impairment, and it's really difficult to not only explain my symptoms, but to call it what I call it, because my vision system is intact. There's nothing wrong with my vision system. It is, I think, my vestibular system. It's something that is not my vision system, but it's impacting my eyes and my inability to see and focus on things. And so without that outer vision, I've had to have inner vision a hell of a lot more than I've ever had in my life. And I really felt throughout my life like I've always been very introspective, but nothing like I've had to be over the past 7 months. And thankfully, I had sobriety to start off with, to give me a head start on all that stuff. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't have gotten sober before all of this happened. It would be terrible, for sure. But I've been able to see, I'm still learning, it's progress, not perfection, that there is a richness in life that comes from within when I look inward, beyond my physical limitations. And yeah, I know that's very poetic, but it's true. And it's really a challenge to grab a hold of that, to find it on a daily basis. But I know it's there. I know the ability is there. I just have to keep practicing it and talking about it, saying it out loud, sharing it with people. So I think this is probably a good time for me to just pause for a second. Maybe it's not a good time, but I'm going to do it anyway. On the topic about this why me thing, and just share with you, I did talk to a woman today who is the DC Metro chapter president of a foundation called Fighting Blindness. And she just so happened to stop into the Apple store where my niece works, and she was getting some support on her Apple products, clearly, because she's in the Apple store. And my niece mentioned me and how I've been challenged with this vision impairment, and that I had taught myself voiceover, but I really could use some resources and stuff. So this lady was, just so nice to give my niece her card. And so I just called her today and learned about a ton of resources that I get to try out. So I'm going to look into them, and I'm going to definitely have a podcast about some of these resources for anybody else out there. But one that really stood out to me is called iBug Today, IBUG Today. I think it's ibugtoday.com. It might be .org, but anyway, it's a national group, and it's an iPhone blind users group. And so I'm going to be checking this out, but they do have courses on YouTube and on their website for how to use VoiceOver on Mac. And if you have been a lifetime listener, meaning you've been listening for the past 7 months, then you know that I'm pretty proficient with my iPhone for VoiceOver. But my Mac has been challenging, to say the least. So this woman who I was talking to, she just bought a Mac, and she's going to be taking the courses too. She had been using Windows. So she said, I know it's going to be frustrating. I know that I'm going to, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard, but I refuse to stop being able to do the things that I can do today because of my disability. And she was so determined. It was really, really great to hear that. And so, yeah, I'll share more about that and the resources. I want to have a whole podcast episode about it so that it will be searchable on the internet. I'll put a title for the episode so that somebody who is really looking for that kind of thing will be able to find it. So I will pick back up where we left off on the episode here, but I wanted to mention that there, every once in a while, there is this little bit of hope that gets injected into me, and it kind of lifts me up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to looking into that stuff. And I did talk to my boyfriend a bunch tonight about this, and I talked to this woman also about this idea that I cannot seem to 100% hand over the fact that I cannot use digital devices the way that I used to. I keep trying to get back on them, and I'm suffering for it. So he's like, if you were at work, Rachel, if you were at work and your boss told you that you are required to not go on the internet, that's your job. If you go on the internet, you're going to get in trouble. Then I wouldn't go on the internet because my boss told me not to. That's how I need to treat it, as if it's my job. That's the rule, to not go on the internet, and my answer is VoiceOver. So just like anything else I would have done at work, I would have figured out VoiceOver like in 24 hours. Like I would have banged it out and I would have turned out to be proficient by now. But I haven't been treating this like that. I keep finding excuses. I keep thinking like, well, I'll just do this. I'll just log on and look at this for a second. Well, the woman that I talked to today said that she suffers from the same challenges. It's like she's not all in. And so it was nice to know that I'm not the only one who fights it. But I don't know. I feel a little more encouraged today. And, I'll take it. I'll take any day that I feel a little more encouraged. So back to the topic here. So I've come to believe that I was given these challenges because I can handle it. And that these second chances that that my strength provides me turns these trials into testimonies to help other people. My strength is what's giving me these second chances. I mean, obviously, my alcoholism didn't kill me, thank God. My stroke didn't kill me, thank God. But I could have easily curled up on the couch and hid under a blanket in both situations. And I didn't. Like, it unearthed some sort of strength in me that I didn't know that I had. And this realization is not unique to me. There are so many people that are faced with these life-changing situations, and that same strength is unearthed. You can go on YouTube and just put in like stroke survivor, and or on Instagram, or LinkedIn. It's everywhere. You put in stroke survivor, and there's video after video after video of these people who were told they would never walk again. And not only are they not only are they walking again, they're walking unassisted. There's people who were paralyzed on the entire left side of their body, and they were told that this is it. This is as far as it's going to go. And like 10 years later, they're fully, moving around and stuff. And that's because we have that gift inside of us. All of us have it. And it's waiting. You just have to believe in it in order to have it surface. Of course, it's not always true. I know that it's not always the case, sadly, but it's the case a lot of times. It really is. From what I'm seeing and people that I talk to, so many people that I talk to that are like, yeah, I was told this and look at me now. What I'm dealing with in my journey is that nobody has told me anything. Nobody's told me your eyes are going to be like this forever. Nobody's told me that you'll never be able to drive again. You'll never be able to watch TV again. Like, nobody's told me that because nobody knows what's wrong with me. So that leaves me feeling like I'm in limbo. I don't know whether to accept things. I don't know whether to fight. I've talked about that recently. But when we start to see our challenges as opportunities to grow, as opportunities to like flex our muscles and be like, yeah, look at me, look at me, look what I've got under this tight t-shirt, you know what I mean? Flexing your muscles, if you will, and assist others on their paths, then we let loose this fountain of purpose and hope. So how do we reframe the why me's into why not me, or even yay me? It really begins with, you guessed it, mindfulness and great gratitude. So each day, instead of focusing on what I can't do or what's been taken from me, I need to choose to celebrate what remains and what has been gained. And that is really, really challenging. But again, I'm so happy that I have been sober for 7 years before I've really been faced with this kind of need to flex my muscles, because I'm practiced. I'm practiced at doing daily gratitude. And I'm practiced at mindfulness. I've been teaching myself for over 7 years that I have a choice as to whether I'm going to be happy today or sad today. And there are several podcasts that I come on here and I say, I'm just going to be honest, I'm poopy today. Well, that's fine. I can be poopy. I can choose happiness and still be poopy. If I wasn't choosing happiness, I wouldn't do the podcast. Like, what I mean by choosing happiness is I keep taking a step towards happiness. I keep reaching down inside of me and yanking the joy to the surface. And when I'm having a poopy day and I do my podcast, that is me trying to pull the joy to the surface. And that is me taking a step in the direction of happiness. So it's possible, in my opinion, to feel poopy but choose happiness. And I hope that makes sense. So the podcast has been a tool for me to process and share all of these reflections. And it's like a journal for me. It's a daily journal. And the difference is that I'm reading it out loud to everybody. And I'm hoping that it inspires other people to find the silver lining. It takes a ton of work. Not so much work that I'm getting tired of it. I mean, I could do this for years. Who knows if I will? I don't know. But I feel like today, I've been doing it for 7 months, every single day, except for I had 2 days I didn't do it because I had a life-changing personal situation that I needed to take a break. But I enjoy it. I really do. And again, I feel like doing the daily gratefuls prepared me for being able to, I guess, understand that every day there is something in recovery and hopeful that I can talk about. There's something good that I can talk about. And I get to talk about bad stuff sometimes, There are good days and there's bad days, and there are good weeks and there are bad weeks. And honestly, there are good months and there are bad months. And I can keep choosing happiness and walking in that direction regardless of what's happening. I make the choice. It's just like when I wake up in the morning and I make the choice to go to my sobriety meeting. I make the choice to not drink today. I make the choice to get out of bed and not feel sorry for myself and pull the sheets back over my head. So as I wrap up today's episode, I want to encourage you to journal. Try this writing prompt today. Like, take some time and just write down 1 or 2 things that have happened in your life that are second chances, and reflect on how you can or have used that experience, being given a second chance, not only as an anchor to ground yourself and have a new beginning, but also to use it as wings that lift you up and lift other people. Even if you're not straight, directly talking to somebody about your experience, what are the times that you are leaning on that experience and it is guiding your conversation with somebody? If you are talking to somebody and encouraging somebody, how much of that conversation is coming from that place where you were given a second chance, from that experience? So I encourage you to journal on it today, and that's what I got. So thanks for joining. I almost said love you. I do. I actually do. Love you. Okay, so thank you for tuning in to Recovery Daily Podcast, and I will talk to you tomorrow.